What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be ranking the Spider-Man movies. Now I have seen No Way Home, so I'm going to include that in this ranking. This video was intended to come up before I went and saw that movie, but it's just been a month, you know. Anyway, I'm also going to include the Venom movies in this as well. So in total, we have the Tobey Maguire trilogy, the Amazing Spider-Man movies, the two Venom movies, the MCU trilogy, and I'm also going to have an additional 3, being 3? Yes, an additional 3 being Civil War, because it's got our introduction to Spider-Man in the MCU, as well as Infinity War and Endgame, because Spider-Man's in those as well. Yeah, I know that those aren't Spider-Man movies, but I'm going to be putting them in my rewatch, because if you want to rewatch Spider-Man's journey in the MCU, they are essential viewing for that. I was tempted to put Iron Man 2 in here, because retroactively that little kid is Peter Parker, and that's why you see like the Unisphere in his like home video during Homecoming. He's not actually like Spider-Man's not in that. So even though I would rewatch it for a Spider-Man rewatch, it would not be in this video, even though technically speaking, Peter Parker's in it. Alright, so let's start back at 2002 with Spider-Man 1. And I might just sort of go with, I might just sort of start off with building a little ranking list, sort of starting with the Rainbow Trilogy. Obviously, of those, the second one's the best. I think that's just universally agreed upon. Of the Rainbow movies, that was the best one. The studio got a little overzealous with Spider-Man 3. They forced Venom into that film. They forced quite a bit into that film, actually, which is why it's the hot mess that it is. And if they hadn't have tried to intervene so much, we would have got a 4th one with Tobey Maguire, which actually sounded like it was going to be an absolute riot. It was going to be revealed that Bruce Campbell, who had appeared in the first 3 films, was going to be that universe's Mysterio. If you want to know where he shows up in those 3 films, in the first one, he's the wrestling match announcer. In the second one, he's at Mary Jane's play. He's the usher, and then in the third one, he's the server at the French restaurant. So he was going to be revealed to be Mysterio. They were going to have John Malkovich as the Vulture, and I think they were also going to explore Dr. Connors, who was in the second and third films. We're going to explore his transformation to Lizard as well, and we're going to sort of start to sort of lead into sort of a Sinister Six sort of thing. But yeah, the studio did get overzealous. So if I had to rank just the original trilogy, it is Spider-Man 2, Spider-Man 1, Spider-Man 3. It is just a hot mess, and if you're looking at them just as they are, it's clearly the weak link. It's the one that ended that particular franchise. The Amazing Spider-Man movies, I personally think that the Amazing Spider-Man movies are fairly equal, actually, in terms of quality. I think they've both got good points to it, like the fight scene with Lizard in the original, like the first Amazing Spider-Man. Fight scene with him in the sewers, I think, is amazing. But I feel like Electro's a much more engaging villain. However, The Amazing Spider-Man 2 does have, once again, a lot of Sony wanting the Sinister Six so badly that they interfere with what could have otherwise been a really good film if they just left it with Electro. But instead, they had to shoehorn in the death of Gwen Stacy storyline, which meant they needed a Green Goblin, so here's Harry Osborn. And then the third movie that was going to be in that trilogy just is completely crazy. They were going to bring back a whole bunch of characters that had died, like Dennis Leary's Captain Stacy. Theoretically, Gwen would have come back. Norman Osborn was going to come back as King Goblin, and they were going to have the Secret Project's Sinister Six come in. So there would have been a Vulture, there would have been Rhino, there would have been a Doc Ock. Harry Osborn and Norman Osborn both as goblins on that team. It was going to be a hot mess, like Raimi's Spider-Man 3 was, because Sony just didn't seem to learn. But you know what they say, third time's the charm, and that's exactly what happened with the MCU Spider-Man. But for the Mark Webb, Andrew Garfield Spider-Man movies, if we're going with our rank again, they sort of end up being just below Spider-Man 1. Still fairly sort of middle ground for the moment, but they end up just being slightly below that. The MCU, and it's like 6 films. Actually, no, let's talk Venom first. The original Venom. My one issue with the Venom films is, and I do like that Let There Be Carnage brings in the we are the lethal protector. So they're definitely making these movies heavily influenced by the lethal protector storyline. However, Venom doesn't only have to fight other symbiotes, and I really hope if they make a third Venom film that it's not just another symbiote. I would like to see him face off against something else, anything else, I don't care, but something else. I mean, even after No Way Home, it could be that, you know, he sets out to find his universe as Peter Parker, and that maybe together they have to team up to take down somebody else. I know that Morbius is coming. I know they've got a Kraven the Hunter storyline in the works. Could be interesting if they decide to go along with that, or it could just be that Venom's unique way of saving the day is needed to take down, you know, like a purely homicidal goblin or something like that. I don't know. Just not another symbiote for Venom 3, please. That's my only thing about the Venom movies. Tom Hardy is amazing. Are you ready, Brock? I really enjoyed that aspect of it. Yeah, but, and I don't know if this is a controversial thing or not, I would rank them as, so far, the Venom franchise has suffered from sequelitis. Let There Be Carnage is only 90 minutes long, and it feels unresolved at the end. Especially with them having, you know, like the church battle sequence being such a big thing, and the fact that Cletus Cassidy got his symbiote from like he basically took it from Eddie. Like if he knows that, oh hey, yeah, no, my blood can pass on the symbiote, it would have been really cool to go the total Carnage route, have him just get a whole bunch of San Francisco's homeless and you know, like cut open his hand, as a serial killer probably would if he's deranged enough, like Cletus Cassidy is, and like force feed a bunch of homeless his blood, turning them into other Carnages. That would have made, and then you extend it out another half hour and just have a nice battle sequence where it's not just one red one, it's like a whole small little army of them. And I also feel like the relationship between Cletus and Shriek is a little underdeveloped as well. Like it was just sort of like, oh yeah, no, in the comics these guys are a couple, so let's just make them a couple. Wasn't really well developed, in my opinion. So I would actually rank the original Venom higher than Let There Be Carnage. For me, Let There Be Carnage ends up being, just because I know how I'm going to be ranking the MCU ones, it ends up being the one just above Spider-Man 3 from the Rainbow Trilogy. So that goes in there as well. And then Venom, probably just above the original Spider-Man. So that it, Spider-Man 1 and the web series are all sort of in that middle ground together. One I didn't announce at the beginning that I just remembered I should probably put in is Into the Spider-Verse. So let's add that in there. Obviously, this is going up the top somewhere. That film is amazing, and in my original playthrough of Spider-Man Miles Morales on the PS4, once I got the Into the Spider-Verse suit and its abilities that give you like the sound effects when you're punching people and the like glitchy animation style for Miles himself, it was done. That's how I played the rest of the game. It was hilarious. It was so much fun. So I'm really keen to see what they do with Across the Spider-Verse. It's going to be a lot of fun. Yeah, a lot to look forward to as far as Spider-Man content is concerned. But the question is that film better than Spider-Man 2? I would argue it is. And here's the thing, is that film is a really well presented solo origin story for Miles Morales, despite being the fact that he fights a version of the Sinister Six that has Kingpin, Tombstone, Scorpion, Prowler, Doctor Octopus. Is there a sixth one? I don't think there's a sixth one, but like, you know what I mean? Like, there's like at least the Furious Five sort of thing. In addition to the fact that he's also, like, Miles himself also has 5 other Spider-Men helping him out. It still ends up being a very grounded story about Miles, and I think that that's really great. But it also gave Sony the opportunity to, on their own, do a kind of Sinister Six film, which is really cool. So yeah, I would put that in what is currently the top spot. I think that it was a really well done film, and obviously its success allowed Sony to feel confident enough to give us No Way Home. So yeah, speaking of, let's finally rank the MCUs into our little list. So I'm going to just do this through chronological order of Peter Parker's like character arc in the MCU so far. So Civil War, obviously when we talk about Civil War, it is technically speaking a Captain America film. It's called Captain America Civil War. So whether you agree with his ideals or not, the question to whose side are you on for that film, if it's not Captain America, I feel like you're wrong. Because we're following Cap and his story. And obviously he knows and is able to quickly figure out much faster than the science tech genius that there's a deeper conspiracy going on. Because because Stark's more worried about public perception and his own personal relationships. He's still proving in that film he's not the guy to make the sacrifice play, and he's still not really working well with others. So yeah, no, he ends up being sort of a secondary antagonist, I feel. For Spider-Man's small arc in that, if we look solely at that, the airport scene is kind of the centerpiece of that film. And the quips are on point from Spider-Man in that. And obviously it was sort of the story for Homecoming takes off sort of directly after that particular sequence. So if we're gonna put Civil War into this rank list, it's really in that one scene that would have to be rewatched, and the scene where Tony picks him up from his apartment in Queens. I don't want to be biased because I am also a Team Cap person. I love this film. It being directed by the Russos, who then obviously, had also done Winter Soldier, arguably one of the best MCU films to date, still. And then they also were the ones that did Infinity War and Endgame, meaning that the core storyline at the center of these was Captain America's relationship with Bucky Barnes and how it interfered with his relationship with the Avengers, causing this opportunity for Thanos. That's the core storyline for the MCU in the Infinity Saga. And Spider-Man's role in that, especially at the beginning, I feel like it can go in the middle ground, because while not being like the star of the scenes that he's in, his arrival is still significant enough to make it, you know, worth more than Spider-Man 3 and Let There Be Carnage. But I don't think it has enough Spider-Man to stand up to an actual Spider-Man film like the Mark Webb ones. So I'm going to put Civil War in there with the little footnote of purely for its Spider-Man specific content. Otherwise it would be much higher on this list. Homecoming, beautiful piece of cinema. Don't know I would put it higher than Spider-Man 2, so I'm gonna just sort of put it below that for the moment. I do understand everyone's small little sort of complaint, I suppose is the word, for the MCU ones needing to have another Avenger present in a Spider-Man film, but that's kind of what the MCU is. Its whole purpose is, it's the cinematic version of actually just reading comic books where any other character can show up at any time, and I feel like Tony Stark being there feels natural because it was Tony Stark that picked him up in Civil War. It was Tony Stark who then obviously would have had to drop him home, make up a whole story about him having, you know, a Stark internship, to help, you know, provide a cover story for him doing Spider-Man things, and then obviously the villain's motivations is that Tony Stark's Department of Damage Control took his job, so he had to find some other way of making money. So yeah, good, like, visually very appealing piece of cinema. Story still makes a whole bunch of sense, but I still think that Spider-Man 2 and Into the Spider-Verse are better than it. So it's going to go under there. Infinity War and Endgame, I'm going to put these in the same slot since they were originally just going to be Infinity War Part 1 and Infinity War Part 2. And again, they're going to go, obviously, if I'm putting them in the same slot, I don't need to sort of pick one, but obviously if I was going to pick a higher one, it's Endgame, obviously. But they go in right above Civil War, once again, for not having Spider-Man be the center of attention. Then we come to Far From Home, and I think they did really well at making Mysterio not just some goofball. I think they did it really well. They thought about it, but I'm gonna put it below Homecoming because, again, having the major MacGuffin plot point, plot device in the film being a Tony Stark legacy thing, I think it detracts from it being a Spider-Man film. So it's gonna go there. And then last but not least is No Way Home. And it's gonna take top position. It is I mean, it still means that Spider-Man 2 makes top 3. But it also means that the 2 times Sony has done the Sinister Six, they've ended up in the top 3 films because Sony's just taken their foot off the accelerator just a little bit to be able to actually just enjoy Spider-Man rather than being like Sinister Six has to happen. I feel like at times the Sony execs have been like J. Jonah Jameson, wanting pictures of the Sinister Six on their desk. Well, obviously the pictures that they'd be wanting are motion pictures because Sony Pictures is a motion picture production company. But yeah, no spoilers in case you haven't seen the film. The spoiler video is going to be my actual review of it, which is coming. But for this video, no spoilers. Just that for MCU's little, you have to have another Avenger in this film. They're able to very seamlessly take that particular character, being Doctor Strange, out of a majority of the film, allowing it to just be a Spider-Man film dealing with Spider-Man things, and it's beautiful. And then, yeah, obviously, again, they have a Sinister Six with only 5 members, and it works. It works really well, in fact. The character motivations make a lot of sense, even if the fact that they're aligned with each other doesn't. Yeah, I'll go into it more in depth in my review of No Way Home, but it currently is my favourite piece of Spider-Man cinema to date. But yeah, that's all I've got for today. So if you are new here, please hit the subscribe button while you're up there. Ring that notification bell as well. Turn on those push notifications so you can keep up to date when I upload new videos. If you enjoyed this one, give a big thumbs up. Let me know in the comment section down below, do you agree with my ranking? Which movies do you think I was too harsh on? Which ones should I go back and actually, re-review? Do you think that I was too nice to some films and they should be lower? How would your ranking look? Let me know in the comment section down below. And until next time, guys, keep your head screwed on.